Hey guys, Jim here with another video for you. This is a tribute to Val Kilmer, ranking the films of his that I have in my filmography. But before we begin, at the end of this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe, but most importantly, leave comments below. Let me know what some of your favorite Val Kilmer movies are. Let me know when the first time you ever noticed him as an actor, and how you were feeling this morning when you found out that he passed away. Now, Val Kilmer was a 65-year-old megastar who, in addition to just having an incredible wealth of talent, he also appeared in a very wide variety of movies. He has almost 100 titles listed on IMDb. I only have 13. And of these 13 films, I really enjoy most of them. There's only a couple that I don't really care for, but through no fault at all to Mr. Kilmer. Like I said, even in the worst movies that he was in, he always delivered. So we're going to go ahead and jump down from 13 all the way down to 1. I'm not going to go into specifics of plots too much. Just give you a brief description of my feelings on the movie. So without further ado, let's begin. The first on the list, number 13, is Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Written and directed by Kevin Smith, and starring Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes, and just about everybody who ever appeared in a View Askew verse movie. Val Kilmer plays Blunt Man in this, which is the alter ego of the Jay character. Very small part, but he's very funny. When he popped up in this movie, I gotta admit, I wasn't expecting it, and I laughed my ass off. It's probably the high point of this movie, quite honestly. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. I'm not a big fan of this film. Number 12, from my Batman Superman box set, we are going with Batman Forever, the only Batman film starring Val Kilmer. He took over the role from Michael Keaton. Co-starring in this one is Nicole Kidman, Tommy Lee Jones, and Jim Carrey, among others. And again, I don't hate this movie by any stretch. I don't like it as much as the two Keaton films, but it's miles better than Batman and Robin, which came out after this with George Clooney in the role. My main problem with this movie, I don't like Tommy Lee Jones in it. I love Tommy Lee Jones, but I just do not like his version of Harvey Two-Face. Jim Carrey, on the other hand, who is somebody that I really don't care for all that much, I think he's terrific as the Riddler. And Kilmer, to me, is one of the better Batmans. It's unfortunate that he just had a terrible script behind him. But number 12 on our list is Batman Forever, directed by Joel Schumacher. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. Number 11, the movie that made him and Tom Cruise both super mega stars, Tony Scott's Top Gun from 1986. This movie was a phenomenon when it came out. And it's still a good movie, it's just it hasn't aged all that well. Co-starring Kelly McGillis, Anthony Edwards, Tom Skerritt, and the great Michael Ironside, among others. Like I said, this movie was a huge hit when it came out. I saw this movie multiple times theatrically. And again, it's not a bad movie by any stretch. It just, like I said, it's dated. But the chemistry between Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise is the high point of this movie, in addition to the flying scenes, of course. Kilmer is great as Iceman. Okay, we are at let me double check here. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, top 10. Number 10, another Tony Scott film, this time Deja Vu. Co-starring Denzel Washington, Paula Patton, and Jim Caviezel, among others. This is like a science fiction action film where Denzel is brought in to a group led by Val Kilmer. They have a technology where they can go back into time and look back in time rather, to see if they could change the outcome of terrorist attacks. This is a really good movie. It's a high concept movie, obviously. But again, the acting is great all the way around. Denzel is superb as usual. Val Kilmer, even though it's not a huge part, he plays the part well. Jim Caviezel is very unhinged as the villain. And again, it's a Tony Scott film, so of course it's definitely worth watching. Number 9, from director Ron Howard, The Missing, co-starring Cate Blanchett, Tommy Lee Jones, and Evan Rachel Wood. Like I said, this was directed by Ron Howard. This was a follow-up for both of them. They worked together on Willow, which I do not own. And Kilmer's only got a small part in this. It's a cameo performance, but it's a very good cameo. And this is a solid Western. I said earlier I didn't like Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever. He's very good in this movie, as is Cate Blanchett, who is great in every movie. So the next on the list is The Missing. Next, we have Top Gun Maverick, starring Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, and a small appearance from Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer, this is one of his final, if not final, screen appearances, and it's the emotional highlight of the film, without a doubt. The scene where the two of them are together, as my voice is cracking a little bit, is very emotional. And again, the flight sequences are great in this. This movie is markedly better in every area to the original. It was a huge global phenomenon when it came out, and this movie is also credited to basically saving Hollywood after the pandemic. This movie was the first blockbuster after that pandemic. It was even nominated for Best Picture. And like I said, Kilmer is not featured prominently in this, but when he does show up, you feel it. And it's a great scene. So, next on the list is Top Gun Maverick. Next, from director Stephen Hopkins, we have The Ghost in the Darkness, co-starring Michael Douglas. This is based on a true story of railroad workers that were building a railway in the late 1800s in Africa, and of two lions that come out of the jungle every night to wreak havoc, and it's dinner time. Kilmer is the railroad expert, and Michael Douglas is the hunter that they bring in to help. Very intense movie. A lot of people don't like this movie. They think it's a B movie at best. I don't care. I've always been very entertained by this film, and the sound design alone is fantastic in this film. And again, the two of them play off each other extremely well, in my opinion. Number 6 is Martha Coolidge's Real Genius, along with Val Kilmer in this movie. You also have Gabe Jarrett, Michelle Mayring, William Atherton, who always plays an asshole. He was the asshole in Ghostbusters. He was the asshole in this. And a small appearance by Deborah Foreman. And the scene with Deborah Foreman and Val Kilmer is absolutely hysterical. It still has one of my favorite lines of all time, where he's like, "So, what's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this? You know, if there's anything I could ever do for you, or more to the point, to you, please give me a call." And she replies, "Well, I don't know. Can you drive a hole through a 2x4 with your penis?" And he's like, "Not right now." And she says, "A girl has to have her standards." It's such a great moment between the two of them. And this movie's fantastic. This was the follow-up to Top Secret. This was the second movie I ever saw him in. And this also came out the summer of '85. And that was the summer of the science movies. You had this one, you had Back to the Future, you had Weird Science, you had Creator, you had My Science Project, and a couple of others. Back to the Future is obviously the best out of all those movies. This one's probably a close second. Weird Science is, believe it or not, my favorite of those films as far as entertainment value goes. But Real Genius is a fantastic film. If you haven't checked it out, please, by all means, check this movie out. It is just so good. We are at the top 5. Number 5, I just mentioned it. Top Secret. Co-starring Lucy Goodrich, Omar Sharif. This is written and directed by the Zaz Boys, who did Airplane and the Naked Gun films. This movie was not a hit when it came out. Nobody knew who the hell Val Kilmer was, including me. I saw this theatrically, loved the movie, thought he was hilarious in the movie, but had no idea who he was. But I knew from day one this guy was going to be a star, and I was right. Top Secret to me is still one of the funniest spoof movies of all time. I actually prefer it to Airplane and the Naked Gun. I just absolutely adore this film and always will. Okay, now these next four are separated by a razor's edge. I absolutely adore all four of these films, and I consider them 10 out of 10 films. So, bearing that in mind, number 4 is Shane Black's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, co-starring Robert Downey Jr., Michelle Monaghan, and Corbin Burnson, among others. This was the film that marked the beginning of the comeback for Robert Downey Jr. He was going through severe addiction problems at this point. Nobody wanted to hire him, and Shane Black gave him an opportunity, and he ran with it. And these two are phenomenal together. This is one of Kilmer's best performances. He plays Gay Perrier, and my God, is he hysterically funny in this film, as is Downey, as is Michelle Monaghan. Everybody is fantastic in this film. Robert Downey Jr. has gone on record to say that if it wasn't for this film, he never would have gotten a chance to play Iron Man, and we all know what happened to his career after that. Love it, love it, love it. Number 3, from writer-director Michael Mann, Heat. Co-starring Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Tom Sizemore, Ashley Judd, Hank Azaria, Danny Trejo. Everybody and their brother is in this movie. And this is one of the best crime epic movies ever made. It's the first time that Pacino and De Niro got to share screen time together. They did appear together in The French Connection. I'm sorry, not The French Connection, The Godfather Part 2 before that, but they had no scenes together, obviously. And that original diner scene was not in the script. Michael Mann realized that he had these two powerhouse actors and he had to get them into a scene together and came up with that. And it's one of the best acted and written scenes of the 90s. I cannot stress enough how much I love this movie. Number 2 is Tombstone, directed by George P. Cosmatos, and one of the best casts of all time. Kurt Russell, Powers Booth, Michael Biehn, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, and of course, Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. To me, this is Val Kilmer's greatest performance, and it's not even close. He wasn't even nominated for this role, and he should have won Best Supporting Actor this year, because to me, this is one of the greatest performances from the last 30 years. Everybody is stellar in this movie. Val Kilmer steals the movie on his own. He is just absolutely outstanding as Doc Holliday in this film. And number 1, back to Tony Scott again, with True Romance, starring Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Gary Oldman, and the wonderful, wonderful Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper. The scene where the two of them are together, the interrogation scene, is one of the greatest acted and written scenes of all time. It is just stellar. Kilmer doesn't have a huge part in this. He plays Christian Slater's guardian angel character, basically. He's like Elvis. You never actually see his face. You just hear his voice and see his reflection in the mirror. But again, he's great in this movie. Everyone is outstanding in this film. This one was written by Quentin Tarantino, and like I said, directed by Tony Scott. It's my favorite Tony Scott film. It's my favorite Christian Slater film, and it's my favorite Val Kilmer film. I adore True Romance. So to recap, number 1 is True Romance. Number 2 is Tombstone. Number 3 is Heat. Number 4 is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Number 5 is Top Secret. Number 6 is Real Genius. Number 7 is The Ghost in the Darkness. Number 8 is Top Gun Maverick. Number 9 is The Missing. Number 10 is Deja Vu. Number 11 is Top Gun. 12 is Batman Forever. And bringing up the rear at 13 is the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe. But most importantly, please leave comments below. Like I said earlier, let me know what some of your favorite Val Kilmer movies are. Let me know what some of your favorite performances from him are. Before I leave, I also want to mention that this coming Saturday, April 5th, will be the next installment of Shooting the Shit with Jim. My very special guest will be Matt from Matt V's Movies, coming all the way from the UK. That show will start at 1 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, Central Time. Unfortunately, Matt will only be able to join me for the second half of that episode. So for the first half, it's going to be me answering questions, and I'm hoping that some of you will come into the chat at that point and provide those questions for me. So until then, I hope everybody's having a great day. We'll check you out on the next one.